My first thought was this: okay, Jeff Dawn is going to handle Arnold, so I don't have to worry about Mr. Freeze. He's going to take care of that so I can focus on Poison Ivy because she goes through a big transformation. We had Batgirl, we've got Robin again, and we have a new Batman now. Now we have George Clooney. Oh boy, I love that. We had a whole new set of people and new set of fun things to do, and as usual, we had a lot of makeup people. A lot of makeup on those films.
Pheromone dust. Designed to heat a man's blood. It doesn't work on a cold-hearted.
My job on Batman and Robin was to run the Mr. Freeze unit, we called it.
Let me guess. Blind girl?
The first unit character, which of course was Arnold. Then we had doubles for Arnold on first unit and on second unit. And we had photo doubles also. So in all, there were 11 people working for me on first and second unit, creating all these Mr. Freezes. There were several different stages of Mr. Freeze makeup in the movie. There was Arnold as himself before he became Mr. Freeze, with his normal hair, his normal skin tone. Then we had the scientist as he was coming out of a vat of liquid nitrogen. He was going through the whole Mr. Freeze process. We had the Mr. Freeze look.
I hate when people talk during the movie.
And we had the Mr. Freeze at the end where he was very sick and dying.
Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
The challenge was to create a makeup that makes the face and the body look as if I really have gone through this traumatic accident where all the hair has frozen off. There's no body here anywhere left.
Long before we started filming, I approached Arnold and said, Arnold, I've given this a lot of thought. This will be best if you shave your head. It'll be faster in the morning. We'll save at least 45 minutes to an hour. Much more comfortable. And it's going to look better. But if I did shave his head, he would go home at night. Maria, his wife, would see this. She would say, what did you do? You promised me before you left this morning you weren't going to shave. That idiot Jeff, he attacked me with a razor today. And to this day, Maria would be very, very upset at me. I don't want that. So in the long run, I'm glad that it went the way it did. It looked great. Arnold was able to, as he says, have his cake and eat it too. He had his hair for the entire film, and we had a bald Mr. Freeze.
And then, of course, you have to make the eyebrows disappear. And even the nose hair disappear. Every single hair with the silhouette lighting and all those kind of things, you have to make sure that all the hair on the body is gone. Otherwise, it does not look believable. Then a certain color had to be created. What does a human being really look like when he's frozen? He created a certain kind of a gray look to the whole thing. Then it was filmed many, many times to create different shades and sparkles and stuff like that with a combination of blue and gray.
I heard you were blue.
Slowly we developed then a look for the whole face and for the head and all that. So because some scenes were without the armor, and with some scenes, of course, were with the heavy armor and with then the helmet that lit up inside to keep the brain frozen and all those kind of things, to make it sure that it always, when you look at Mr. Freeze, it looks like this is not a thing that is alive. So that when you look in the eyes, it looked very spooky. As a matter of fact, my kids came on a set one time, and this was the first time I saw them running away and say, I want to have nothing to do with this man.
Dr. Isley? Pamela? You look great. Especially for a dead woman.
Hello, Jason.
My first thought was, well, can we get Uma for tests? Well, I believe Uma was on a different film at the time and couldn't get in. So I did a lot of tests on another young lady to see all these different looks. And by the time Uma got there, I showed Uma some photographs of some of these test makeups that I had done. And she goes, oh my, I've never worn that much makeup. I don't know that I can wear that much makeup. And I said, you know, it'll be fine. It's going to be a gradual transformation. And she was allowed to transform little by little. And kind of a funny thing happened at the very end when she's floating on that water thing. She had so much makeup on and was so done up for this final transformation. We were sitting in the makeup trailer and she looks at me, she goes, do you think it's enough? Is it far enough to go? And I had to like step back for a minute and have a little giggle to myself.
We started with Pamela and I got so happy with Pamela, because Pamela's just really kind of like, you know, wears thick glasses and is completely unkempt and unruly and unaware of herself. And I got so used to that, I thought, oh, I hate having to go to this glam puss kind of, you know, dragon lady, Poison Ivy. I'm enjoying this so much.
Let's redecorate.
And then once we got into that, and I started to really find that character, I enjoyed that much more. So it was both.
Longer, more orange.
Yolanda Tusing was our hairstylist on the film, and Yolanda had Uma's wigs made by Peter Owen in London. Because of the nature of their color, we really didn't want them to be cartoony. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like a comic book, but we wanted it to be as realistic as possible, and Peter did an awesome job making these wigs.
Enough monkey business. We've got work to do.
Monkey work.
The character Bane was designed by a makeup artist named Brian Pennicus and was assisted by Rick Stratton.
In the comic books, he's just flesh colored. There was never, you know, big muscles and big veins, but there wasn't any coloration other than normal skin color. So that's where V. Neil and Joel said, do something that has something to do with the venom being pumped through him to make him that big.
Howdy, folks.
I felt like Roy Scheider in Jaws when he sees the shark for the first time and he says, we're going to need a bigger boat because this man was huge.
There's the man.
Built a tent for me based on basically a wind tunnel type thing that circulated air because we were going to be airbrushing so much body makeup. We wanted to make sure, even if we were wearing respirators, that both Jeep and ourselves would be comfortable.
I'm a Shakespearean actor by trade.
We would start the makeup by shaving Jeep's torso every day. We'd just shave it, make sure his arms were free and his chest and back were hairless, because when you spray makeup through hair, it's like putting mascara on hair.
Okay, now that Jeep's been shaved and wiped down with alcohol, we start spraying the base color on. And we have to cover up his beautiful tattoos here. This color will base him out so that he'll just be all a flat, neutral color, and then we'll start adding colors back to him to create the look of Bane.
Jeep had to be painted. Everything from his neck down to his belt line, out to his fingertips, every day for months, 6 months I think we were shooting. Boy, we got good at that. Some days it took 2.5 hours, other days when it was getting later in the week it took us longer.
Now look straight up.
Tonight's forecast, a freeze is coming.
The good thing about a movie like Batman and Robin is it's so over the top with the characters. The actual correspondence between the different groups that were putting these characters together didn't happen until the last moment, when we were all pretty happy with the look. We put them all together and went, wow, this works.
Hey, freeze. The heat is on.
One great thing about doing these movies is the fact that makeup and hair is a really important part, because the characters are fantasy characters. When you really get into the fantasy of Batman, it's all about, you know, what they look like. So this was fun for me.